When should we start glowing about our teacher?
Right now, because we're recording.
Okay.
Okay, so in reflecting about this, or some of the points that we've identified, I kind of went with some of the, let me know what format you like. I kind of, for mine, I put down some risks, some opportunities, protective factors, some things like that. So what's the best way? How did you all structure yours?
I didn't really, I didn't structure it. I went through the reading and made notes of everything that I noticed.
Okay.
That's kind of what they recommended as I watched the video. And so I have a couple of pages of things. It's organized almost from, not chronologically, but from the first reading toward the end. So we can group it.
Yeah, that's how I did mine as well.
Or we can kind of start talking about what we have, and because one of the things they want us to do is talk about the commonalities that or the trends that we found as a group.
Okay, I'll hit a few highlights, and then maybe we can each go around and do that. Does that sound good?
Sure. Yeah, that looks great.
I jotted down, and I'm with you, David. I kind of went with the pages, starting like page 132. It's crucial to assess each family's strengths and weaknesses. On 138, focus on the behavior. No, don't focus on the behavior. Focus on, there's the risks and the protective factors. And then making sense of it, that was one of them, and how different family members interpret it in different ways. And then reassessing priorities. Then went into reframing and relabeling. And so those are kind of the little headings that I have on some of mine.
Do you want to?
I won't go.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was saying, do you want to restate those headings again, and I can type them up really quick?
Yeah, I mean, how's everybody else?
I kind of did what you did. Like, I went through the chapter when I was reading and wrote down like points that I could watch for, and then when I watched the video, I kind of just wrote down situations like that connected to those. So like all those headings are ones that I wrote down too. So.
Oh, good. We've got some commonality.
Yeah.
And Cheryl, what kind of was your approach? Or do you
I took notes too, and I watched the video multiple times. I watched the first time just to kind of find out what was going on.
Cheryl, what are you doing to watch that several times?
Well, no, what I say several times is like 2.5. I didn't get through it, but I wanted to try. I wanted to try to find different things each time. So I took notes as well.
All righty. Okay, so maybe at the beginning, it talked about assessing each family member's strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
So I noticed he was, pretty positive about Jimmy. He didn't just focus on all of his problems. He talked about how he was at skateboarding. I noticed this, and he'll kind of reinforce, which kind of goes back to some of the labeling or reframing.
Well, one of the first things I noticed is as they discussed the problem, they had a common denominator, and they all felt it was Jimmy. And it was interesting that they were all intertwined. It wasn't just Jimmy, but it was mom being unhappy at him, and dad being unhappy that mom's unhappy, and Maddie, that her brother was hanging out with people that she was worried about drugs and what he was doing late at night. So they're all intertwined, and they're all affected by Jimmy, who frankly really doesn't know what he wants to do with his life now. He's finished high school and has really no goals.
Well, and I got the impression just watching his body language. You had mom and dad and Maddie sitting on the couch together, and Jimmy was off by himself in the armchair. But the look on his face and his body language, he never really made eye contact with the therapist. He never really made eye contact with his family members. I just got the impression he didn't want to be there, that he wanted to be on the moon or, you know, any place other than where he was.
What 18-year-old boy do you know would like to be there?
That's true. But, well, okay, valid.
I kind of noticed.
No, I don't want you to think I was shutting you down.
No.
No, thanks.
He was interested in talking about skateboarding. So the therapist drew him in, using that as a strength, actually, and complimenting him on that. And the therapist did that with each individual family member. He learned a little bit about, they moved from Nebraska, and that Maddie just was finished, in high school, and he was just out of school and skateboarding. And so other than that, he wasn't engaged a lot.
From starting the video, I thought it was interesting that like mom was farthest away from Jimmy, and then it was daughter, and so like those two were kind of like buds, and then dad was closest to Jimmy, and he seemed to be the one that was like there because the girls wanted to be there and didn't really at the beginning feel like there was that big of an issue. So it was kind of like divided, as the family was kind of split in the severity of the problem. So I thought that was interesting how they sat, and then the parents didn't sit next to each other. They had, children in between and stuff.
Right.
I thought that was really
Tiffany?
interesting.
Yeah, so as you guys are talking, I'm writing down notes, so feel free to change them any way you want.
I see, and thank you. Those look great.
But yeah, with strengths and weaknesses, like what you guys were saying, like I loved how you focused on the beginning, the positive, to get that common ground is what I've been typing. But one thing that really bothered me throughout the whole thing was the therapist, how he kept on throwing and trying to like be funny or something, but it just like threw off the mood so hard. Because so like I'm a social work major, I'm graduating this semester, and I do lots of counseling in my internship right now. And when he kept on dropping those, I'm like, you are like, it's not breaking the ice, it's nothing. It's just like throwing off the whole mood, and everyone's like, I don't know.
No one thinks anything that we old people say is funny, and I think I'm really funny. My kids don't. The one thing that I felt is that even though everyone went in there for Jimmy, I didn't feel like, I thought it came out towards the end that Jimmy wasn't the root of the whole problem. There was already contention, there was some arguing, there were all of that. And so Jimmy would just leave, or he was acting out, or he did all of that and leaving, and that they should just know that he was hurt. But that when it all came down to it, Jimmy wasn't the sole problem here.
It was easy to make him the scapegoat. I think communication, that family to me seemed to have a very difficult time communicating.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm just typing right now. Like no one took the time to express their feelings. So, throughout the thing, they're like, well, how do you feel in that situation? Or like, why do you think this? And then like when the dad said, okay, well, turn to your son and say why you want him home earlier, or what the exact question was, like, no one actually really stated how they feel. So they all said, oh, I assume this and I assume this. And yeah.
Well, and going back to the earlier lessons we had, there was a lot of attempted or epically failed mind reading. That entire family failed at reading each other's minds, which again goes back to the lack of communication. There was a lot of other blame. Everybody seemed to be eager to blame Jimmy for what was going on, but nobody else seemed to really take ownership of really expressing how they really felt. And there were just missed lines of communication everywhere you turned.
So let's take that as our next heading. I think
what was the next heading then?
Well, on page 139, it says in 140, it says what stood out to you and how to make sense of it, that family members interpret the same things in different ways. I liked that quote. It said, it's not what you look at, it's what you see. And so we have 4 individuals who are experiencing the same circumstances, and all 4 of them are viewing it in 4 different ways. Mm-hmm. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, because especially when they asked the question in the very beginning, and he asked every single person, like, why do you think you're here? And like, it all like, even though they all said something kind of a little bit different, they all kind of connected in the end.
Right. So, but when it came back around, the mother's interpretation, or what she saw, was Jimmy's problem is different from what the dad's, because right out of the gate, the dad's like, well, I don't think he has a big problem. You know, he's just being a kid. So the mom and dad were interpreting this very differently.
I'm going to add like the actual quotes of like what they said. I wrote that in my notes if that's okay.
Oh, by all means, definitely.
And feel free to add things and delete things I'm writing. So.
Okay.
Well, and David, you can back me up or shoot me down. Those worries that mom had, I mean, I've got 3 boys, and so I could have very easily have put myself 3 different ways in that conversation. Those are things that I, as a mother, would absolutely worry about. And I can very easily see my husband thinking, okay, well, maybe you're overreacting. Maybe it's not that big. I can see that going completely down gender parent lines. The concerns that she had versus the concerns dad didn't have.
My wife and I shared the same concerns. It did not go down gender lines.
Okay.
So if we had a child that was out till 2 or 3 in the morning, there's not much good that can happen there.
Exactly.
Even if you're just playing video games, you know.
Yeah, the Holy Ghost goes to bed at midnight. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So back to, I guess, interpretations. And thank you. But by the way, Tiffany, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, this is awesome.
I love taking notes.
Yay, well, good. So tell you what, let's do to try to keep this on. Let's skim over, 4 or 5 of these different points that we have in common or not. And then we'll circle back if we need to give it more depth.
Yeah, I agree.
So the next one that I had down, page 141, is reassess priorities. And this goes back to the chapter where it talked about, So I think they did a great job of the therapist refocusing everybody on what the priority is. The priority wasn't Jimmy's behavior. The priority was something else. So what did you all like? What are some thoughts on that? I feel like maybe it moved away from skating, or, well, I shouldn't say that, but the priority for his sister, for example, was not that she was tattling on him or she was selling him out or that she hated him, but she really truly loved him. She missed that time together. And so the priority was reassessed from, worry that she was losing a brother. He's growing up. He's leaving high school. He's moving on maybe. Anyone?
Cricket.
I didn't pick up priority as one of the things I listed, so that's why
I didn't either.
I'm being a little bit silent on that one.
No, it's okay.
If I can add, I didn't put it as priorities. I kind of thought of it as the reframing and relabeling, like kind of what you're saying.
Okay.
And I don't know if I'm incorrect on like my definitions of that, but I kind of put that
right.
as.
I've got that too.
Yeah, I just kind of thought of that as like they went into it with one mindset, like it's all Jimmy, and they like labeled him as the problem, and then they ended up realizing that there were other issues, and so they reframed kind of how they were all thinking. So that's where I guess it's like the same thing we're talking about, but I thought of it as something different.
So let's go to that one then, and if we want, we can come back to the other one. So relabeling and reframing. So one of the things that I love about this, that I've loved for other people, is the things like he said, well, it's absolutely natural to or those things are very normal to, or people commonly, it's kind of validating people. women have more connective tissues. Sometimes they do that. So I've appreciated it. Like when I was struggling with when our son was 13, and someone who had had 5 kids that she had raised, and I was so frustrated with something he was doing, and she says, "How old is he?" "Oh, that's exactly what 13-year-olds do." And that was just such a great, in terms of relabeling and framing, like this is normal, this is in perspective.
Well, there's actually in the text there was a term for that. It's just called normalizing, and
Right.
it was normalizing and contextualizing, and the therapist did that. He did exactly that. He'd say, "I had a similar experience with my daughter," or "Oh, that's normal." And all the way through, one thing I noticed is that he tried to normalize them so that they understood that they were okay. They're a regular family.
Right.
So normalizing and contextualizing it is kind of a common theme I thought that the therapist used throughout the video.
And in addition to that, or along those same lines, was, he acknowledged everything that people said, and he was empathetic. On the 149, it says, building empathetic connections between family members. And I think he did a good job of drawing like mom out to say, "Mom, is it possible that when this person does that?" Or "Jimmy, do you think your mom might be concerned if you," or trying to draw out those, like what they said, those connections between family members.
He did ask really good questions.
Well, he tried to put Jimmy in mom's position. So maybe he could, maybe this, reframing I think might be what this is, where he could kind of think how his mom thought, or letting dad think how Jimmy was thinking, trying to kind of see everybody else's perspective, which is huge. That's really huge. And the therapist did a good job of that, of including everybody. And I liked especially how he finally got, Maddie and dad to change places so that dad was sitting next to mom. And at least creating or somewhat presenting kind of a unified front as parents.
Yeah.
Because they seemed separated and divided at the beginning of the session.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, these things do cause contention. I mean, I've raised children, and parenting is a hard thing where you do it. It is hard between couples. I think I would rank that harder. Like, we've had more discussions over parenting than finances.
And I think it's great getting yours as perspective, because obviously I don't have children, but like I think it's great that like you guys have gone through this in some sort of circumstance. Not saying,
but you know what, Tiffany, yours are going to be so much better.
No. No.
Yours are going to be good in restaurants and church and
No.
And I'm going to tell you right now, Tiffany, you're going to want to bottle that and sell it.
That's right. But I haven't been following the honor code, and I'm on crack. Is that what you're suggesting, Cheryl?
Oh, this is recorded, guys.
That's right. All righty. Okay, that was kind of my highlights. So does someone have more? And then, because it looks like we've had a lot of these commonalities, what are some other things that you all had?
Well, I had the importance of reducing negative chain reactions. The chain reaction was mom getting angry at Jimmy, dad being concerned about mom, Maddie.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So they had, and the counselor did a good job. The therapist did a good job kind of bringing that out, that they need to do that. And you stop one part of the chain, and toward the end, he gave them goals, so it would stop. Basically ways to communicate.
Yeah. No, that's a great one. Because I can't remember which lesson it is, but one of them where it started talking about patterns, and we get in the habit that's, you know, kind of cyclical. When this happens, someone reacts this way, which causes the, you know, the other person to counteract that way, and then we just keep repeating. Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, so I just added to that, just like I wrote what they like with the setting goals and giving the communication. I just gave the example of, you know, like they had the dad ask the mom on a date, the dad like taking the skate park. Jimmy and his sister go to, I don't remember the sister's name, so I just wrote sister.
Maddie.
Maddie. Okay.
Yeah, ask Cheryl. She's got it memorized.
No, hardly. All of a sudden, this went out of my brain. But the only way that they're going to get back on track is if they do spend time together. And in the different, what's the word I want? I just had it and it went away.
Like the setting is changed where it's. So
yeah, mom needs to
one
spend
of the
time with Jimmy. She needs to spend time with Maddie. She needs to spend time with Dad. Maddie needs to spend time with Jimmy. I mean, all the different connections individually need to be strengthened. And they need to be reinforced.
One of the things on that I actually wrote down is part of resilience, or one of the protective factors, can be to load past experiences and past successes. So you remind people of things that they used to. You draw on successes that you've had in the past, or and then when you remember, or you draw on, look, we do have a good marriage. Look, you do have a good foundation. Do you remember, Jimmy, when you and Maddie used to do this together, go to soda again? And you draw on past successes. I think that was on page 138. They were talking about Mike and Maggie. Anyway, I don't know.
Or even going on another camping trip. They said in the beginning that they used to like to do that before they moved from Nebraska. Well, is it too late to try that again?
Right.
I think all that comes down to one of the headings that we could put in is that's establish effective communication. And the communication comes by, you know, didn't they say driving in the car, or was that something else?
Yeah,
Sometimes
that was with the dad.
Yeah, Dad and Jimmy can drive in the car, and the sister can go out for a soda, and you know. But to establish effective communication was, I think, primarily the biggest problem they had.
Well, I think one of the successes they might be able to enjoy as they improve their communication. I noticed the counselor did this a lot. A family member would make a comment and he would repeat it back in his own words to make sure he understood it. That could be a communication tool that each of the family members takes with them, especially maybe in the beginning between Jimmy and Mom. Jimmy says, okay, Mom, you're upset and this is why, and then repeat back. Or Mom saying to Jimmy, okay, this is what you want to do. Am I understanding that this is important to you? And repeat back, which is an important communication tool in and of itself that they may need to get used to using.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what I think I heard you say, Cheryl, is no.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just.
Yeah, he said that. I don't know how many times.
I know.
17.
Close.
And in looking on this, under the communications processes on page 133, this one is for you, Tiffany. It says, open emotional expression, pleasurable interaction, humor.
Like, I get, obviously, you want to, like, joke, but it came at the bad times. I was like, you seriously just said that? Like, it just, like, threw me off. But, yeah. No, it's good.
Oh.
Well, he was role-playing.
Yeah.
Everybody was.
He was.
One other thing I picked up was, I'll just read it. It says, often something valuable is gained from a crisis that might not have been learned or otherwise obtained.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, the family was able to understand each other through the counseling that they sought. So the crisis got them together. It was serious enough they sought intervention or external help outside the family, and they learned things in the counseling session that they would not have learned otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were surprised when they were done.
Yeah. It's always a surprise when I find out that other people have, that mine isn't the only possible view. Okay, he did bring up did the transcendence or spirituality, where he talked about, he said there may be help from other side, whether you believe in this or don't believe in that. He did kind of give them encouragement in a way for that transcendence. I think that you're going to have help. There are people who are cheering for you. I don't know. I don't quite remember exactly how that happened, but.
Yeah, he did say that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what I need, validation. Okay. So was anyone surprised by the findings or observations about any of our observations?
I wasn't.
Nope.
No, it didn't take very long.
What could we have been surprised about? I can't even think of anything that would be remotely surprising.
No, the only thing, I don't know, it's not a surprise, but I just always love hearing what other people got out of things that I didn't see. And then discuss and record how a treatment professional or paraprofessional might prepare to capitalize on such opportunities to introduce or reinforce the types of resiliency factors from Walsh's article. So I don't know if you have it. I printed out page 133, which is kind of the outline. It's the table 6.1. It's the key. And it's some of the things that we already talked about: making meaning of adversity, positive outlook, transcendence, flexibility, connectedness, clarity, open emotional expression, and collaborative problem solving.
Okay, I'm going to add my note and tell me if I should delete it. This is what I did on my notes.
Okay.
I went through and wrote things under each of them on page 133. So if that's not what it's really talking about, I can delete it.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So you guys don't have to just say you want to take it. We can totally delete it.
Nice.
No, I don't want to take someone who's already done a lot of work. I want you to erase it so we all have to do more work.
Oh my God. No, you guys, I've been seriously, if you want to change anything,
no,
this is what I did for part of my notes.
And I guess when we're done, if we all take, and I don't know if you can all do this tonight, but we give each other, I don't know, an hour or maybe till tomorrow by noon for everybody to edit and see if you want anything changed so someone can upload.
When's this due?
I say we just just finish it.
We just do it.
Yeah.
Just finish it. All right.
It's due on Saturday, isn't it? Saturday at 10 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm heading out of town. I'd really love it if this could be done up earlier. So
yeah, I definitely think we should just
a lot
finish it
better
tonight.
Well, yeah, the last 15 minutes of our thing, we're supposed to all just go through and look through our whole thing and make sure what
perfect
is what we want is and then Cheryl, you're fine with submitting it, right?
Yeah. I'll submit the link and the document once we all approve it. And we've got 20 minutes left?
Yeah, so let's look at this. So positive outlook.
Yeah, and I just wrote brief things. So if you want to add more things on that page 133 or change, honestly, please just go for it.
Okay.
Well, the last 15 minutes, we're supposed to do this anyway, so we're doing the right thing here.
Yeah, I think we're on it. Yeah, I don't see why we can't submit it tonight if we're gonna look at it and get it done.
Yeah. We're supposed to
Okay.
make sure it's appropriate. No
Yes.
swear words in it. I think that's good. So I think it's
I held
appropriate.
back this time, just this
Yeah.
time.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
All right, good.
Okay,
Good.
so
It's appropriate.
making meaning of the adversity. How did you feel that they made meaning of it?
Ask the question again. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay. The first part as under belief systems is making meaning of it. And I think you did a good job, an appraisal of the crisis, a sense of coherence, at outlining so everybody got a sense of what the issue was. I guess when they say a stressor, say that Zach story or something, people are making meaning out of that. So do you think that he brought out making meaning out of this adversity, or does it apply? No, wasn't that deep.
I don't think this case was that applied.
That it really
no.
that. All righty, positive outlook. Okay. Oh, I thought he was also, encouraging. Let's see what you said, I'll be worried.
I'm not sure that in this one, accepting what can't be changed. I think everything in this case, there wasn't someone that lost a limb and had to couldn't change that, so I had to adapt to it. We're talking about, enhancing communication so that mom's not so worried, and maybe the son, gives in a little bit and comes home at 1 instead of 3. And, I don't know that accepting things that can't be changed would be something that we would put with this case study.
Yeah. Well, everybody seemed willing to listen to what the counselor was suggesting.
Yeah.
When Jimmy first got there, you could just tell by his body language that he didn't want to be there. He wasn't on board with that. And maybe it goes back to what Sonia was saying earlier, that, okay, what 18-year-old really wanted to, but he was willing to change places. He was willing to kind of re-express himself, or more articulately express his feelings. So it's not like he just said, I'm out of here. So everybody seemed willing to do what the therapists had suggested for them, and then come back later and discuss it further.
Okay, so under positive outlook, where we just were, there's active initiative and perseverance, courage and encouragement, and I heard a lot of that. Mm-hmm. Sustaining hope, optimistic view, confidence in overcoming odds, focusing on strengths and potential, and then, like Bree said, mastering the possible and accepting what can't be changed. So, I heard a lot of that, of encouragement, him giving hope, we can do this, the strengths of each person.
There's a part that said focus from complaints to positive aims, meaning what's wrong and what can be done to make things better. You're reading off the page, though, right? Off the list?
Yeah.
Sonia, is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, right, I thought they did a great job of switching it, where you're right, the first 20 minutes was just all complaints, and clarifying to where they started to be willing to make some solutions or make some changes. What's that? The saying in our house was always, what if you're not part of the solution, you're the part of the problem.
Yep.
That's positive.
Yeah.
Positive, you're part of the problem.
Actually, what really is effective around here is sarcasm. That's really an effective parenting tactic. Not. Okay. So organizational patterns. So you've got flexibility. yeah, I like that they won't be, he is getting older, can make his own decisions, but he also seemed to be receptive to some flexibility in terms of some of the things he was doing.
He did.
He's also a bum.
Yes.
And you know, the therapist, sorry, was very positive, which I think was good. I think Jamie would have been turned way off if he were called out. And I don't know what session it comes out that he needs to, you know, take charge of his life and do more than skateboard when he's graduated from high school.
Mm-hmm.
Mom and Dad could have probably been working on that for years before, you know, he graduated, or he could have, but that's tough. You know, if he has nothing to do, he's primed for getting in trouble. Not only for staying out late because he's idle. He doesn't have a work ethic, and doesn't sound like he's obedient. And you know, he says he's not doing anything wrong. Well, he might not be doing drugs, but he's a candidate for trouble.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to have any goals. He doesn't seem to have any aspirations in life.
Yeah.
He's got this blank canvas that he's just letting stay like that.
Yeah. That's tough.
It seemed like his sister was, again, they had, I think every one of them expressed a capacity to change and to adapt, that they will try, you know, the parents to work on their relationship between each other, to go on a date, to stop the arguing. The sister will try to repair that. So I think those were all things where they all expressed that they would adapt
Right.
and change.
Right.
Okay, the next one is connectedness.
Connectiveness.
Yeah, connectedness.
Oh, connectedness.
Yeah. I like that, Tiffany. That looks good. Yeah, this is an area where it's same with communication. I feel like that if you're not connected to each other and you've lost that connectedness, you're not going to communicate. And the things like you mentioned, camping or going back to doing the soda or the dates, that those things will increase and pull back the some connectedness.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing I pointed out in here was like they need to set boundaries. Like that's one thing I really teach my clients right now is like setting boundaries with like a healthy boundary of like, okay, well, like yeah, if you want to know me where I am, well, let's just say I can text you and just tell you. I don't have to like give you a whole explanation. You know, like just setting boundaries of what's appropriate and what's not.
So it says at the bottom one, seeking reconnection and reconciliation of troubled relationships, which I thought that was a great example of the parents. If they can resolve what's between those two, then they can have more of a unified front with Jimmy. Okay, communication processes.
Oh, thank you.
So clarity, yeah, the clear and consistent messages, those were hard because the guys weren't super expressive. The truth-seeking and truth-speaking, that's a hard one because a lot of times we all tend to get personal instead of keeping it from getting to the attacks.
They didn't attack each other too much in this case study.
No.
You can come across
Okay. Mutual empathy. I thought that you did a great job with that, helping create mutual empathy so that each of them is like, well, Jimmy, is it possible that your dad might feel, or Maddie, is it possible that your brother might think, or things.
So if he comes across that way, don't be.
Yeah, the counselor did a really good job of trying to put one family member in the shoes of another to try to kind of come full circle with, okay, Jimmy thought mom was going off the deep end, but Jimmy, stop and think about it. This is why mom feels the way she does. Can you at least understand that?
Yeah. Okay.
What's Jamie's dad's name again? Sorry, I suck in names.
Michael.
Dad.
Michael.
Yeah, Dad.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe we should just do
they were
Dad.
3 M's,
Yeah, Mom,
right,
Dad, Meg.
Michael? Yeah, there we go.
There are 4 M's, 2 Michaels.
Oh yeah,
And then
the
Jimmy,
therapist.
again, the outcast. That's right. Yet another reason. Okay, collaborative problem solving. Shared decision making. Oh, at the very end, I thought he did a great job focusing on the goals. Taking concrete steps, building on successes. Yeah, down to the very detail of, while I'm watching you, ask her out on a date. And he did, and then it's like, when? And what will the date be?
Yeah. Yeah.
And where are we going?
Sound like a good date out. I'm from Canada. We don't have Texas Roadhouse up here, so sounds good.
They are good. They're
Mhm.
very good.
Mhm.
Are you in Canada now?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is an international phone group then. That's cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're in Canada. We're in
Which
Canada,
part?
right, Tiffany?
I am living in Edmonton right now.
Alberta.
That's where my company headquarters is.
Oh really?
Guy in our singles ward is, our YSA ward is serving in Edmonton, in the mission, so he could be anywhere. But in June, my son came back from Vancouver.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm
Serving
originally from
emissions.
Calgary, but I just got married
Oh,
in
okay.
July, and so I moved up
Yay.
here.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
And hopefully you and your husband have excellent problem solving skills.
Hopefully.
Or you're going to have to get one of your classmates to like go through this therapy with you. Another intern. Okay. All right. So let's just take 5 minutes and everyone read over what we have
Okay.
and
Okay.
we have comments.
Okay.
Great job, by the way. Thanks for doing all these notes.
Yeah, you did a great job. Gotcha. 17 times. I counted.
That kind of, I was that kind of 37, but that's close enough. I think you did a great job. A really good job, Tiffany.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm not the best at spelling, so please catch those errors. I'm sure you guys have all changed them throughout.
I don't see anything you read underlined, so we're good.
Yeah, I didn't think she had any like requirements on how many pages and everything your notes are. I'm just gonna highlight it all really quick because for some reason when I type it, it goes gray, not black. So there, it's black now.
Okay.
It's strange.
Now I'll be able to download this, Tiffany.
I'll download and email it to you really quick right after
okay.
we're done. So
Okay.
it's
All right.
easier
Great.
for you.
Yeah. Then I'll just upload it all together, the recording and the document. I'll send that off tonight. Right. That's what everybody wants, is to go ahead.
Yeah. Just get it done.
Stick a fork in this. Okay.
And I'm saying, if this is a good night for everybody, in 2 weeks we have to do another group project. And I really like this group, so if you all want to sign up again,
I would say if it ain't broke, yeah.
I'm in, and if someone else tries to get in, don't let them.
like, I can totally make
I
the
agree.
discussion board right now, and everyone just sign up.
All right, I'm in. I know.
Tell us when you're going to open it, and we'll all just buzz right in.
Seriously,
Yeah.
do it.
I will after the recording, so if she's not on
See, I understand the honor code, but I don't know how BYUI feels about collusion. I don't know. But, if it ain't broke, I don't think we should fix it. This is a great group.
Yeah, no, I really am happy with this one.
I should probably stop recording, huh?
Yeah, I think we're good. Good job,
Should-
team.
Go ahead and stop recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'll stop that.